Welcome to FintechTV. I'm Emmy Blair. Solmate Infrastructure, a Solana-based crypto firm, has launched the first bare metal Solana Validator in the UAE, minting the region's first block. Now, based in Abu Dhabi and backed by investors like ARK Invest, Solmate aims to boost Solana adoption across the Middle East. The company is also building infrastructure to support decentralized finance, generating yield beyond standard Solana staking. Joining me today is Solmate Infrastructure CEO Marco Santori. Marco, great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me. So first, can you explain for our viewers what exactly is Solmate Infrastructure?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Solmate Infrastructure is an infrastructure company that's building real validators, real bare metal hardware in the UAE. We have already built our first in partnership with RockawayX. It is now up and running, and it's validated the very first transaction in the UAE. And inside that transaction, we embedded a quote that the region is famous for. The future belongs to those who can imagine it, design it, and execute it. We really couldn't be more pleased with the progress.
And building on what you just say, and with the UAE pushing hard into blockchain adoption, how is Solmate's new bare metal Solana Validator positioning the region, as well as your company, as a global hub for Solana infrastructure?
Like a lot of companies at the time, Solmate launched as a mere treasury company, which is to say a company like MicroStrategy, it's now called Strategy by Michael Saylor, whose business it is to accrete Solana, to accrete SOL, to get as much SOL as possible, more SOL per share than you can get anywhere else, and more SOL per dollar that you can get anywhere else. We're still doing that, but our strategy is differentiated. Our strategy is different. We think that rather than just running a capital markets perpetual motion machine, if we build real hardware, we can do more than a traditional treasury company can do. What those treasury companies generally do is try to take in dollars and generate crypto by way of selling stock. We can do that, and we're going to do that. But we can do it in an additional way. We can also generate real dollars by running bare metal hardware. And I'll give you an example. Right now, we do have a server up and standing and running in the UAE. It's sitting in a cage. In that cage, we can put not only our validators, but remote procedure call servers, RPC servers, which are underlying hardware that allow other developers on blockchain who are building the capital markets for the internet on Solana to do so faster, cheaper, and better. Pretty soon we're going to be able to sell co-location services, which will allow people to put their own servers right next to ours inside that rack. That's something that a mere money manager can't do. That's what you get when you're building real bare infrastructure.
And I understand that you've said that infrastructure first companies have a bigger advantage than those just running treasury strategies. So can you explain how Solmate's infrastructure flywheel actually works and why it's so tied to growing your SOL stake?
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, we call it our infrastructure flywheel, not just a capital markets flywheel, but an infrastructure flywheel. We can take the cash that we generate from the capital markets, and we can use that cash to buy SOL. We use that SOL to stock our validator, which now exists and is up and running. What that SOL does is let the validator validate more transactions, let it validate transactions on a quicker basis, on a more rapid basis, and allows us to sell all kinds of services around that validation, not just getting the value of the SOL, but the presence of the SOL. Because on proof of stake networks, the more like Solana, the more SOL you have, the more often you can validate transactions and the more services you can sell on top of those transaction validation services, like RPC services. It's called remote procedure calls. It's something that developers use to communicate with the blockchain and with wallets all around the world, as well as co-location services. On Solana, just like on Wall Street, traders want speed. They want quicker access, lower latency, higher performance, whereas most treasury companies are out there just paying a money manager to try to earn them an incremental 2 or 3% on their staking. We are doing that business ourselves in partnership with RockawayX, and we can sell software as a service, like services, SaaS services, on top of that validator. That makes us much more like an operating company than just capital markets perpetual motion machine. In fact, I'd be willing to bet in a year or so, people aren't going to be talking much about our treasury. They're going to be talking about our earnings.
And Marco, while I have you here, I do want you to expand on this. So tell us why you believe Solana and not Ethereum is the best base layer for the next gen of high throughput finance. And also, tell us, how does that make Sol the right treasury asset for a company building in the UAE?
Sol is the perfect treasury asset. First of all, Solana is the fastest and most used blockchain in the world right now. Faster than Bitcoin, and just as you said, faster than Ethereum. More used as well. Moreover, there's more adoption. What we're seeing is more developers use Solana every day than new developers. I should say more new developers using Solana every day than new developers getting into Ethereum. We think that's for a reason. But getting real specific, I think Sol is the best treasury asset in the world. First of all, it's got a growth trajectory. We think Solana has a lot of room to grow both in usage and in price. Number two, it is volatile. That's good. Treasury companies like volatility. It allows us to run our capital market strategies. Number three, most importantly, it's yield bearing natively. Unlike Bitcoin, which is a fantastic asset, I'm a big Bitcoin fan. I got into this 12 years ago and it was just Bitcoin, so I have a lot of love for them. But Solana allows you to generate native yield at a minimum of 6%. On top of that, Solana has DeFi. You can you can actually participate in decentralized finance with your Sol treasury. It's not something that you can do on Bitcoin. I am practical. I'm not religious about Solana. I just happen to think it's better than Ethereum at every turn. It'll continue to be better for at least the next 10 years. That's why I am long Solana. And if you're long Solana too, we think at Solmate you can do better buying Solmate stock over the long term with your dollars than you can buy just buying Sol than you can do just by buying Sol alone.
And finally, Marco, before I let you go, what are the expected revenue streams or operational advantages from the infrastructure expansion?
New revenue streams, you put your finger right on it. Unlike most treasury companies that are just going to give their treasury to a money manager, and then the money manager is going to charge them X% or whatever it is on the treasury, when you're building real hardware, you can sell SaaS. You can sell software as a service on top of that hardware. One great example is co-location. Today in traditional financial markets, traders, hedge funds, and all the rest will pay big money to be co-located next to an exchange. On the Solana network, the transactions that can be valuable to those traders and those hedge funds are not just exchange transactions. They are every transaction on the network because validators like Solmate have the power to create those blocks of transactions and to place those transactions in a certain order. That is hugely valuable. That's something that traders want to see in traditional markets, but Solana traders want to see in every single transaction that happens on the network. And the only way to make the most of that is by co-locating with a server that has a big stake of Solana. And that's what our treasury company is geared to do, is to provide that stake of Solana so that hedge funds and traders can co-locate with us and pay us a fee for doing so. That is part of the long-term business model of Solmate. We are going to replicate Wall Street on the blockchain. You might think of us as a citadel for crypto, except instead of that activity just happening on exchange, it can happen for every single transaction on the network, and that's hugely valuable.
Okay, Marco, well, we will have to leave it there, but thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you so much for sharing your insights and your perspective.
Thank you.